Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second day of this masterclass on how I stopped binge eating after 10 years. I hope you guys really enjoyed the first day. I know the feedback has been incredible. I know so many of you guys found so much value in just the first training. So I'm so excited to dive into day number 2. If you have not yet watched the first day, it is pinned to the top of the Facebook group titled Day 1. You're going to see it, so you can watch that as well too. For day 2, which is today, of course, I'm going to be sharing some more golden nuggets of things that really help me stop binge eating. And then as a reminder, day 3 is tomorrow. That's my VIP option where I'm going to share with you how I've maintained a binge-free life for 3 years. So my daily habits, my non-negotiables, and what I still do today that has me so confident that I'm never going to binge again. That's tomorrow. And then day 4 is personalized coaching, where you get to submit your questions and then I will answer them. So the VIP option, as a reminder, it's $33. You can still join us. It obviously is not going to be in this Facebook group. So if you want to join, just be sure to message me. And also don't forget about the giveaway. Some of you guys have been sharing my posts and things like that. On your stories. So I am choosing the winner today. One of you guys is going to win $200 freaking towards one of my programs. And I'm so excited to do this for you guys. Like, I'm just like bubbling with excitement because I know how transformative and life-changing my programs are. And the fact that one person gets to use a $200 credit is just like, ooh, I'm like, who is this going to be? I'm so excited. So I'm going to choose the winner. I'm going to choose the winner tonight. Okay. The last thing I'm going to say before we actually dive in is at the end of this masterclass, I am going to share with you guys a few different ways that you guys can work with me. Because I know many of you guys are like messaging me, you're ready to end this, right? Like you're ready to stop your binge eating, you're ready to break free from yo-yo dieting. So at the end of this masterclass, I will also share a few different ways that you can work with me to get some support to stop binge eating. Okay. Robin says, I love your positive energy. You're so inspiring. Thank you. Robin's amazing. Rosie's here. Amanda, Crystal, Janelle, Lisa, good afternoon. Patrice, Amy, hello, you guys. Welcome. Okay. How are we feeling? We're on day 2. Drop an emoji. Drop a word. Like, how are we doing? How are we feeling? So I kind of know where you guys are at. Let me know in the chat. How are we feeling? Are we feeling good vibes? Are we happy? Are we feeling good? How are we feeling? Amanda, hey girl, hey, hello. Nervous about what? Why are you nervous? Lorraine is here. Hello. I'm feeling hopeful. Yes, that is the vibe. Hopeful. There we go. I love it. Hopeful. Oh my God, that is like the theme of this masterclass. I love it. Thumbs up, feeling great. Yesterday was great, happy, amazing, you guys, so good. Listening while I'm at the gym. Just put it on speaker. People might need to hear this. Just put on speaker. Feeling hopeful and relieved that there are people who can relate to my struggles. Yes. Trusting myself not to binge. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to definitely talk about that. And I'm actually just going to bring this up because I think this is important before we dive in. Trusting myself not to binge. So you guys, this is why it is so important to actually learn tools to get rid of your binge urges. Because if we're just like, oh, I hope I don't binge today, of course, like you're going to feel anxious on high alert and nervous every single second of the day. Cause it's like, I don't know, am I going to give in today? Like, am I going to binge today? Like, I don't know, right? It's like so unpredictable, right? Alana's here. Inspired. Okay. So good. So good. Okay, you guys. So I just want to reflect back to day 1, just very quickly here and share how everything is related. So you guys heard, obviously, if you listened to day 1, that I tried so many different things in the past, right? Meal plans, Beachbody, intermittent fasting, focusing on gut health, all of these different things, dieting. restricting myself. And I'm sure many of you guys have, tried all these different things as well, whether it's like 21-day fixed portion containers or keto or whatever like diet you've been on. And it's so interesting because a lot of time people tell me like, Lorna, I've tried everything. I can't stop my binge eating. Like I've tried everything. But when you really look at it, when you really look at all the things that you've tried, even all the things that I did in my past, was like, okay, number one, none of those things rewire your brain. None of those things get rid of the urge to binge. In fact, a lot of those things is what actually exacerbates the urge to binge. It's what actually intensifies binge urges. Restricting, depriving yourself, weighing yourself every single day, keeping trigger foods out of the house, distracting yourself. None of those things get rid of the urge to binge. So of course, for me, before I obviously got support, I was like, oh, like this makes sense. Like, of course I haven't stopped binge eating yet. Like, of course the urge is still popping up because the things that I used to do in the past wasn't actually getting rid of my binge urges. They were intensifying my binge urges. So that's the first thing I wanted to be so clear on, because I had this huge realization where I was like, hold on. Hi, Dee. So good to see you. I was like, hold on. Every single thing that I've tried on my own to stop binge eating was always about restriction and deprivation and more control and more motivation and dieting and weight loss, or just managing my binge urges by distracting myself or promising myself this is going to be the very last time, or telling myself like today I'm just going to do good. But you can't think your way out of a binge. So that was a huge realization that I had. I was like, oh, wait, like I don't want to just be managing my binge urges. I don't want to be doing things that are intensifying my binge urges. Like I'm ready to end this for good. So I need to learn how to get rid of my urges because I was sick and tired of trying to fight against my binge urges. How many of you guys listening right now are just like so freaking annoyed at that urge? That demanding, persistent, controlling urge. You're like, I want to stop fighting against this damn thing. Like, I don't want to feel it anymore. Like, I am so sick and tired of promising myself it's going to be one last binge. I'm so tired of fighting against my urges and trying to just like stay busy. Like, I want it to be gone. So for me, it's like, yeah, I wanted that. And I knew that I was done with dieting. Like, I was so done with dieting. So I was like, okay, obviously, like, I don't want to keep dieting, right? But obviously, like, that's a huge reason why I'm having these urges, but I know that I need to get rid of my binge urges, right? Like, trying to fight against the binge urge and like distracting myself, like, that's not working, because it might work very short term of like, okay, today I didn't binge because I was like so busy with work. And then tomorrow, maybe I didn't binge because it's like, oh, I went to a yoga class, but like, I was still feeling urges, right? Me, so over it. Yes. I love it. Hi, Nora, right? So that's the first thing. It's like, I had that huge realization of like, well, if I don't get rid of my binge urges, like they're going to keep popping up. That's the first realization that I had. The second realization is you can know all the things of what to do. I'm sure many of you guys know I should not weigh myself. I should delete my fitness pal. I shouldn't be giving into the urge to binge. You have like this level of awareness, but it's like, why am I still doing it? Right? I used to be so mad at myself and so frustrated because I'm like, sometimes I wish I was oblivious. Sometimes I wish I had no freaking clue because then I wouldn't beat myself up. But it's like, now I know I'm binging. Now I know I'm out of control. And there are certain things that I know that I shouldn't be doing, or certain things that I know I should be doing, and I'm not doing it. Can you guys relate? So this is where support and accountability comes into play, because you can have all the knowledge in the world, all the knowledge, you can listen to all the knowledge in the world, but implementing the tools is what's actually going to create a transformation and can literally change the entire trajectory of your relationship with food. If you don't implement, that's what keeps you stuck. But it's hard to implement the right tools if you don't know what to do. So you obviously need the right tools to rewire your brain to get rid of your binge urges, but then the support and the accountability to actually implement. Those two things were massive for me. Knowing what to do instead of just distracting myself, instead of dieting, instead of staying busy, instead of going to bed early, instead of just journaling when I felt the urge to binge. Like, I needed tangible tools, but I also needed support to implement the tools, because like I said, it's really easy to know what to do, but you're like, one last time. But that chocolate in the cupboard is so good, and like there's just a little bit left, so I might as well just finish it. Like, we convince ourselves, right? We convince ourselves. So that's the second realization I had. The third realization I had was, even from the first training, I kind of talked about this. Diet culture has ingrained so much of these unhealthy, limiting beliefs, behaviors, patterns, thoughts into the brain. You have to follow this meal plan or you're not going to see results. You have to, keep trigger foods out of the house so that you don't binge. You have to not eat after 7 o'clock or you're going to get fat. This is what diet culture tells us. And it's so programmed into the brain. And this is why I talk so much about rewiring the brain, because you can't just delete MyFitnessPal and be like, I'm eating intuitively, if you still see food as good versus bad. You don't trust yourself around food. You're still seeing this as like, oh, this is a trigger food. Or you're seeing yourself as like, I'm a binge eater. Or again, you're managing your binge urges. All of these things play a huge role. All of this needs to be reprogrammed and rewired. Rewiring of your thoughts, rewiring of your beliefs, rewiring of your feelings around food, rewiring your behaviors around food, rewire your brain out of these habitual cycles, right? So those were like 3 realizations that I had, like huge, major realizations that I had. Number 1, I couldn't just think my way out of a binge. Number 2, I actually needed like support and accountability. But also number 3, I needed to get rid of these diet culture thoughts in my brain, because they're deeply ingrained into the brain. So that's what I hope you got out of day 1. And maybe you can even reflect back to see like, oh, yeah, maybe I have been like trying to do things on my own. Like, maybe it's time for support. Or maybe you're like, oh, yeah, I have been distracting myself and just staying busy and just brushing my teeth and hope that I don't give in when I need to learn how to get rid of my binge urges. Or maybe you're like, oh, yeah, everything that I've tried that I thought would stop my binge eating has always been diet related, right? It's always been diet related that actually has been intensifying my binges. So I need to learn the proper tools to stop my binge eating. So just something to reflect on. Okay. And if any of that resonates with you, like maybe even let me know like which one you need to start focusing on, right? Let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of those. Now, for me personally, you guys know that I got support from someone who has gone through binge eating themselves, and I can't share how helpful that was. Let me know also, all of them. I love it. I love it. Very common. So let me know if you've ever gone to like a therapist or like maybe like a nutritionist and maybe you didn't feel understood. So that I shared in day 1, like that was my story. I'm like, I feel even more broken because if a therapist doesn't understand me and a nutritionist doesn't understand me, like I'm broken. So when I found this coach who has gone through binge eating herself, I'm like, I felt safe. I felt comfortable because I know she went through it. And I'm like, I know she's not going to judge me. She's not going to look at me like I have 25 eyeballs when I say that I'm going through this out of body experience that my therapist and my nutritionist looked at me like, what are you talking about? Right? I related to everything that she said. And I was actually given tools for when I felt the urge to binge. I learned brain-based techniques. I actually learned how to eat intuitively, like step by step, how to trust myself, how to get back in tune with my hunger and fullness cues. So that was huge for me. But I also want to share this. I did not have any timelines regarding when I should be binge free by. I joined a program, I worked with a coach, I was ready, I was committed, I was willing to put in the work, I was so ready to end my binge eating, but I never expected myself to stop binge eating within a certain time frame. You know what this does? It creates pressure. So think about any diet that you've been on, like an 8-week diet or a 30-day challenge or whatever the case may be. And you're like, I have to see results within a certain time. Right? Like, it's like, I have to see results within certain times. And it's like, that creates so much pressure, because what if you don't see results within those times? You're like, I'm a failure. So I just had this knowing, I'm like, Lorna, you struggled with binge eating for 10 years. You are not gonna, I never expected myself to stop my binge eating within a week or a month. Like, I wasn't expecting myself to end binge eating within a certain time period. And that's why I stopped binge eating, because I didn't have pressure. Now, don't get me wrong. I wanted to stop my binge eating like ASAP, but there were so many times where, like, even if I was frustrated that I wasn't seeing results yet, I kept going. This is a very important piece, you guys. Yeah, when I changed to that mentality without a timeline, I started seeing results. And it's kind of funny, because it's like everyone's like, I need quick, I need fast. I'm like, if you want fast, then do something unsustainable and the binges are still going to happen. I was like, I want to do things sustainable so that I can end my binge eating for good. So I'm not going to stress about these timelines. 3 food therapists didn't help. Also read Brain Over Binge. Yeah. Felt like I should get a chicken sandwich, but chose to get a grilled cheese. Choices like that are part of my healing mentality. It's hard though. Yes. My endocrinologist. Yeah. So there were times in my journey, obviously, where I was like, oh, I just want to be done with this. Like, I want to end this so badly. But I also held the duality of like, but like, I'm like, I don't want to put a timeline on myself. Sometimes people say like, how long did it take you? And I'm like, I don't know, because I was going to do this anyways. Like, I was going to be committed to the process anyways, right? For me, I was committed to ending my binge eating no matter what. I was serious about ending my binge eating. And when I say I was serious about ending binge eating, I actually meant it. I didn't say I'm serious about ending my binge eating. I'm going to try and I hope this works. And if it doesn't work, well, I'm just going to give up. I got a coach. I invested in myself. I dedicated time and energy, but not just time and energy towards anything. Not some of you guys say like, oh, I've tried so many different things and I've spent so much money, but it's like, if we're spending money on diet programs and like things that aren't resonating, well, of course it's not going to work. So I was so serious about ending my binge eating. I was ready. I was committed, and I did not have timelines. Think about a vacation. If a vacation is coming up, or a wedding or an event, and you're like, I need to get ready for this event, right? And you put a timeline, you're like, I got to go on vacation in a month, or I have a wedding to go to in 3 months. What ends up happening is you're like, oh, now I have a timeline. Now there's a crunch time. Now I have to see results within 3 months or a month. What do? You take unrealistic action to get unrealistic results, or I should say unsustainable action to get unsustainable results. So it's like, I have to hurry up and I got to be ready in a month. I got to get ready in 3 months. So what do? Unrealistic tactics. I'm just going to be in a calorie deficit. I'm going to over exercise. I'm going to cut out sugar from my diet, right? Because I got to get ready in a month. But then that creates unsustainable results. Sure, you might see results after a month because it's like, I got a timeline, but then what happens after that timeline? If you do things unsustainably, you get unsustainable results. Lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. Even with binges, I'm going to go to bed early. I'm going to stay busy, distract myself, just try to not do it. Well, that's unsustainable. Unsustainable action creates unsustainable results. So you might not binge today, but how about tomorrow when the urge is back? You might not binge tomorrow because you were so busy with work, but what happens when you're home alone or social events? And there's all these delicious foods around. So I personally didn't want to do things unsustainably because I didn't want to have some good days with food and then, stay on high alert all the time, just hoping that I wouldn't binge. I truly wanted to do things sustainably and get rid of my binges. So back to the vacation example, I have this timeline, 1 month, 3 months, I gotta hurry up and get results. And then you come back from vacation and you're so deprived and you can't maintain what you did to get there, or you don't even want to maintain what you did to get there. And then you're binging and out of control, you feel crappy. And it's like, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I wasn't in a calorie deficit because now my binges are so strong. Or, I wish that I wasn't so, I wish I wasn't so hard on myself, because then on the entire vacation, I wasn't even enjoying myself because I had to maintain these results, and it's so hard to maintain these results. And I'm not even this is what happens. So I focus on doing things sustainably versus looking for quick fix solutions. I didn't give myself a timeline. Yes, it's like the duality. Yes, I wanted to end my binge eating, but also I'm like, well, I'm not gonna, what's the alternative? I'm not gonna go back to dieting. That doesn't work. So I'm gonna keep going. I am going to find a way to stop my binge eating. There was no other alternative. And plus I got support from a coach. So I had security, I had safety of if I didn't get support, well, then I'd be I don't know, I don't know how to stop my binge eating, but I had that anchor. Honestly, continuing binging makes me gain more weight than trying to eat intuitively. Yeah, and that's what happens. It's interesting because it's when you eat intuitively properly, remember, yesterday I talked about intuitive eating, but maybe you're not even doing intuitive eating, because intuitive eating is not deleting MyFitnessPal or no longer dieting. Eating intuitively, there's principles to intuitive eating. There's a step-by-step strategy to intuitive eating. So if we're not really doing intuitive eating, it's oh, why am I gaining so much weight? And you might be doing this as a free-for-all versus intuitive eating, where you get back into with your hunger and fullness. You eat when you're hungry and you stop when you're full. There's a difference. But I didn't know the difference when I was trying to do things on my own. I'm I think I'm eating intuitively. Why am I still binging? Haven't gotten rid of my urges. I didn't trust myself. I still saw food as good versus bad. I had mental restriction. I wasn't even eating intuitively. I didn't get back into with my hunger and fullness cues. And it's well, no wonder, right? So the first thing, that was the timelines. That was a huge thing for me. The second thing, I don't know if this is going to be surprising for you guys, but I never tracked how many days I was binge free. So it actually was never it was never a thought oh, I should just track, put a chart on my wall and be how many days am I binge free? Because honestly, that creates pressure as well too. When you're oh, I haven't binged in 4 days, and then you binge on the 5th day and you're oh, see, I'm a failure. I'm never going to stop my binge eating. And you literally discredit the 4 days where you didn't binge. Because it's such a high of ooh, 4 days, no binges. You're on this high. And then you're on such a low when you did. So I never tracked how many days that I was binge free by. And if you're doing that, maybe consider. For me, I never did that because, again, it's I didn't want to just say ooh, I made it to X days in a row where I haven't binged. I was I don't want to ever binge again. So I didn't track how many binge free days I had. That created pressure. Okay. Anyone who has done OA knows all about counting. Yeah, and I don't think it's helpful. It honestly creates pressure because, again, it's okay, I haven't binged for 10 days. And then you have a binge and you're you literally just discredit all of the days where you were feeling really, really good. Right? So that's something that I did. I did not track how many binge free days I had. That's something that I didn't do. Okay. I never thought of that. That I've gained so much weight from binging. If I do gain a small amount of weight from intuitive eating, it certainly won't be 30, 40 pounds from binging. Yeah. And it's so true. And like, this is what I try to explain to like all my clients. I'm like, listen, everyone wants to lose weight, but if you're binging on like millions of calories, you know what I mean? But people don't recognize that, because I know when you're stuck in it, it's like, I just need more control. I need to lose weight. But you probably don't need to lose weight. You probably need to heal your relationship with food. Actually, no, you probably don't need to heal your relationship with food. You need to heal your relationship with food and stop your binges. Because as a result of no longer binging, right? It just makes sense. I didn't even realize when I was potentially putting my non-binge days on a pedestal. I hope this is giving you like so many light bulb moments right now. Like, give me hearts if this is like resonating with you, like let me know. So those are two things that I did: release the timelines, and then I never counted how many days I was binge free by. Like, I never did that. I was like, no, just never doing that. Okay. I love when I see all the hearts. I love it. So nice. So pretty. Okay. So something else that I did was I did a morning routine every single day. Who here has a morning routine? I did a morning routine every single day. Breath work, meditation, journaling, brain-based techniques. When I say a morning routine, for me, what I did in my journey, I wasn't talking about like, oh, I get up at 5 a.m. and then I drink water and I make my bed, and I brush my teeth, and then I put on an outfit, and then I take out the dog. Like, sure, that might be like a morning routine of like what you do, but that doesn't impact your brain. So I specifically on my journey, I use brain-based techniques in the morning, journal prompts to rewire my brain, to rewire my thoughts, to rewire my behaviors with food. And it felt so good to know that I was spending time on myself and my healing and filling up my cup first thing in the morning and doing what I knew was going to help me be less impulsive with food. So a morning routine, I wasn't talking about taking out the dog and peeing and showering. That doesn't change the brain. I actually did specific things because I wanted to ground myself. I wanted to change my thoughts. I wanted to dedicate this time to working on myself, give myself gratitude, go into my days with more peace and more calmness. And that was a huge aspect for me, like dedicating even just 10 minutes, you guys, in the morning. When I say that I dedicated time like in my morning routine, like I really mean it. Do you offer prompt ideas? Yeah, so in all of my programs, there's like integration worksheets. Depends obviously on the program and stuff. There's like journaling prompts. So yeah. So I blocked off time for my healing. So what I mean by this, so I'm so busy in the mornings and I already get up early. So here, I'm going to be so straight up with you guys. And I'm just sharing personal experience here. I'm literally sharing you guys like exactly. I'm not hiding anything. Like I'm just sharing me, and this is what it is. I had a fitness studio with my husband, 2018. And I had a client at 5 a.m. I got up at 4 a.m. to do my journaling and to do my morning routines. And I'm not saying this to be like, oh, look at me. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm literally just sharing what I did. Was that every single morning? No. Did I still get sleep? Yes, because I'm not saying you guys lose sleep just to do a morning routine. I'm not saying that. But even when I had my own business and I was waking up at 5 a.m., like I still dedicated that time. When I say I was committed to healing my relationship with food, I mean it. Like I was committed. And you know what? Even if you can't do it in the morning, do it anytime, as long as you're doing it. Like as long as you're doing these, strategies, as long as you're working on your mindset, like this is so important. So also, Michaela said I did the Root and Rewire masterclass, and the homework she gave was super helpful and included some prompts. Oh, you're so sweet. That was a really incredible masterclass. So when I was in a program, I watched every training multiple times. Like I soaked in all of the information. January of 2019, that's when I joined a program and I got help for my binge eating. And if I had a break, if I was driving somewhere, I literally would be plugging in these trainings and listening to them. Even if it was the replay and I couldn't make it live, I listened to them over and over and over again. Sometimes you listen to something and you're like, okay, like that makes sense. And then you listen to it again and you're like, oh yeah, oh, wow, that lands a little different. And then you listen to it again and you're like, oh, okay, that really makes sense. So I found that I was listening to like the trainings like multiple times and I got so many different golden nuggets. Even if it's like the same training, I'm like, oh, I didn't hear that the last time I listened to it. It just lands differently. So I watched the trainings multiple times and I didn't just listen. This is huge, you guys. I didn't just listen. I learned the tools and then I applied the tools. This is the difference between I know what to do and actually stopping binge eating is applying the information. So I really implemented the tools on a daily basis, like even the integration worksheets. I dedicated time to that. I feel like I was so cute on my healing journey. I literally dedicated time every single week to like the coursework and my healing. And it felt so good knowing that I was going to be making progress every single week. I would light a candle, I'd pull out my workbook, and I'd have like a date with myself. I'd have like a day with myself. It was actually so fun. I would like print out the worksheets. I would light a candle. I'd make myself a nice hot cup of tea. And I'm like, this is my healing time. I would literally block it off on my calendar. Usually it was like Friday nights, sometimes like the weekends in the morning. But it felt so good knowing that I was taking steps forward. Like I was implementing, like I had tangible things to focus on and I had fun with it. I didn't take things so seriously. Like I had fun. And it helped me so much because repetition is key. So the transformation is actually implementing the tools, and I was dedicated to that. So like I said on day one, yeah, sounds so peaceful. It honestly was just so like, it just felt so good knowing like I'm putting in the work, like that's what really like excited me of like, I want to look back and be like, I gave it my everything. Like I'm doing this, like, and I want it to be fun. I think for a lot of people, they think like, oh my God, a healing journey is like so scary. And I'm like, I try to make it fun. I'm going to light a candle. I'm going to, like pull out my workbook, my journal. I bought a journal for the program. Like it was just so much fun. So that was that. And like I said on day one, like, thank God for support. Because some days that I wanted to binge or I didn't even want to use the tools because it was like so challenging, I was like, thank God I have support. Because here's the thing. The tools work to help you become less impulsive and have less binge urges, right? But there's something about seeing other people make progress. Isn't that exciting for you? Like when you see somebody make progress, you're like, oh, like I want that. Like, look how good she's feeling. Like, I want that. It's contagious, right? So I started seeing other people who were like using the tools and I'm like, oh, okay, I knew that they worked, but like, ooh, like this is so exciting. Like I want to use them even more. And then you're being celebrated when you share your wins and, you didn't give into the binge urge. You're like, it's so exciting. Right? So that was a huge aspect as well too. It's like seeing other people utilize the tools, seeing other people who cared so much about healing their relationship with food. It feels so good to get plugged into other people who want to be where you also want to go. Like you guys, like there's something about that. There really is something about that. Okay. So I talked about timelines. I talked about not dedicating how many days I was binge free by. I talked about obviously support. Something else is, this was a big one. I stopped worrying about what other people would think of me healing And I switched from fitness girl era to healing girl era. I don't even think that was like a thing back there, like the era. But anyways, I briefly talked about this on day one, but I was the fit girl. I was the healthy girl. All my friends knew me as like the person who was always on a diet, like all the things. And when I started healing my relationship with food, I had to stop worrying about what other people were going to think about me. I was doing this for me. I dedicated time to heal for me. I was entering my healing girl era. And I focused on myself, not what other people were going to think about me. Like even Andrew. So again, we had a fitness studio, and every year we would go to like this event. It's called like a pro show. And like, you basically have to get like your CECs when you're like a trainer. So you have to get like continuing education credit. So like every year you have to go to like this fitness show or whatever. And I would go there and I would see all these like fitness people who were like so jacked. And I started healing my relationship with food. And I actually told Andrew, I'm like, I don't want to go to these shows anymore. Like, I don't want to be part of this anymore. Maybe, yes, at one point I was so excited and it was like the best weekend of my life, but I am in a different mindset right now. I'm in a different season right now. And even though it was so tough, because even when Andrew and I would go out to this event, like it was fun, like it was fun. And I used to be like, yeah, we're like the fit couple and whatever, but it took a lot out of me. And it definitely brought up like just feelings of like, I don't want to be surrounded by this anymore. So I told Andrew, like my husband, I was like, even though we have a fitness studio, like I'm working on healing. And I love fitness. Like I love working out. Like you guys know me, I love working out. But I really needed to switch my focus from like just the gym, working out, macros, to healing my mental health and healing my relationship with food. When I say I was in a healing girl era, I freaking mean it. Nora says, I love that healing girl era. I never thought of that. Yeah, that needed to be my focus. And sometimes it can be so challenging because it's an identity shift. I went from bodybuilder to beach body coach to personal trainer to health coach to the fit one in the friend group. And I needed to release all those identities. And even though it was that shit like scary and so challenging, I knew like that was the right thing to do. We have different seasons in our lives. We have different values, different priorities at certain times. And for 10 years of my life, all I cared about was the way that I looked and my body and, macros and all the things. But I'm like, in this season of my life, healing girl era. Enter healing girl era. Like, I'm like, it was what I needed to focus on. And it's so interesting because even when Andrew and I would go to social events with friends and family, they knew us as the trainers. They knew us as, oh, they own a fitness studio. They're the fit ones. Oh, we're having pizza in front of them. Like, oh, don't judge me. And I'm like, oh, so freaking frustrating. Bye, Dana. Right? They're like, oh, the personal trainers are here. And I'm like I would literally lose my marbles. And I'm like, I don't want to be known as this anymore. But a part of you is like, I don't want to have to explain myself because people aren't just going to get it. But then like a part of you is like, listen, stop calling me these things. Like, stop seeing me as this one way. But like sometimes even a year would pass. And they're still like, oh, the trainers are here. And I'm like, it's so frustrating, right? So that was creating pressure for me to like maintain a certain body size, because like, I feel like sometimes when people see you as if you were always the friend in your friend group who was always on diets, or maybe you were always known for doing keto, or you were always somebody who worked out 7 days a week, and it's like everybody knows you as that. So even when you start changing, right, it's like people see you as that. So like that's also something that I had to work through as well too. I've been known as the confident fat girl for so long, and it clicked for me today that the identity is what is holding me back. I've been trying to figure out my limiting belief or mindset block, and it hit me listening to one of your podcast episodes. Yeah. So I needed to be okay with changing my identity and having different priorities, different values, even if people did not understand. Or people saw me in one way, I'm like, that's fine. Like, it's like, I'm not hurting myself, I'm bettering myself. So people can think whatever the heck they want, but I know what I'm doing. Like, I had that mindset. I'm like, people can think whatever they want about me, but like, I know that I'm taking good care of myself. I know that I'm healing. I know that I'm getting support. I know that I'm making progress. I know I'm going to be binge free. So like, think whatever you want. Like, I'm doing my thing. I'm in my healing girl era. Like, I'm so excited. So that is something that I really focus on as well too. Now, something else that I did was I connected to my higher self. So let me know if any of you guys can like resonate with like the phrase like higher self. Like, have you heard of that before? Rena said, this is a struggle for me. My identity has evolved and people still see me as the old way I used to be. I used to be the fun party girl and then the fitness girl. I just want to be Rena and evolve and be accepted for as I am. And the reality is, it's like a lot of the times people are going to see you as that version because you might have been that version of yourself for 10 years. Like for me, it's like 10 years, right? So it's like people always see you as that version, but it honestly doesn't matter what other people think. The thing that really landed for me, I was like, people can see me however they want to see me. But at the end of the day, if I am happy, that's what matters. If I'm no longer binging and I feel so good on my own skin and I'm kind to myself and I'm nourishing my body with nutrient foods, and they might think, oh, she put on weight. I don't give a flying shit because I am taking good care of myself. I started to worry about what other people thought about me when I didn't feel like myself. When I was binging, when I was self-sabotaging, I really worried about what other people thought about me because I wasn't even myself. This, you guys, this. When I knew I was self-sabotaging, when I knew I was binging and I was hiding food and eating secret, I was so worried about what other people saw me as because I knew that I wasn't me. I wasn't Lorna. I was fit girl in front of other people, binge in secret. I was, oh, Lorna eats so healthy. Lorna's so motivated. Lorna's like this perfect person. And then behind closed doors, it was like binging on thousands of calories. That is what kills. That's what killed me. People saw me as one version and I wasn't my true self. So if you know that you are no longer the party person and the fitness person and you're fine with that and like you're so confident about that, like I am Rena, like this is who I am, like own it. Because at the end of the day, if you're happy, if you're healthy, if you're no longer binging, if you are like you are rocking this new identity and you're so confident in it and you feel so good, doesn't matter what anyone thinks. Right? So I'm going to talk about the higher self right now. I just wanted to answer that question. So Rena, I hope that was helpful. And honestly, like we have like, everyone has the ability to change. Like we can be the fun party person and then be like, I'm a grandma going to bed at 8 o'clock. Like we have the permission to change our mind, to evolve. If we were the same person for 10 years, like that's kind of scary. Like you're not growing, you're not changing, like you're the same person. It's so funny because like we're sometimes so afraid of change. And I'm like I used to be afraid of change too, right? Bodybuilder, health coach, all the things. Now like binge eating coach, like relationship with food, like all these things. That was a scary transition for me. But I'm like, if I'm not changing and I'm the same person, like that's freaking boring. Like I don't want to be the same person. Like I'm always growing. I'm always being the best version of myself. So it is okay to change and evolve. And in fact, if I look back at my life and I'm like, oh, I'm still struggling with this thing, I'm like, why aren't you changing? Like, let's go. Like, let's take steps forward. Like, let's change, right? I'd rather be a grandma, go to bed at 8 o'clock any day. No more party girl here. Oh my God, you and me both. You and me both. Like anyone else a grandma here? Like I am definitely a grandma. I love it. Oh, the grandma life. One day I'm going to be a grandma and it's going to be fine because I'm just living that life right now. 8 o'clock bedtime, pretty much. Not quite, but you guys get the point. Okay, let's keep going. So higher self. So many of you guys said like, yes, I understand what higher self is. Okay. So when I say higher self, like I am talking about the version of yourself, cotton moo and all. Oh my God. I love it. We need to like go on Zoom one day and just like wear our pajamas. Like how funny would that be? Anyways, so higher self, this is like the version of yourself who feels so at peace with food, so confident with her decisions with food. She is so in control. She eats without guilt, right? Like she's able to stop when she's full. You might not be able to see this version of yourself or even feel it or even think about that version of yourself because it's not your reality right now. But if you were to think about that person of who you want to be, how you want to show up, how you want to act around food, maybe you even have somebody in your life who has a healthy relationship with food. So you can see like, oh yeah, they like order whatever they want at the restaurant. Like the waiter comes around and they just like have their menu closed because they're like, oh yeah, I chose what I wanted within like 5 seconds. Like they're so decisive. They just decide within minutes. They stop when they're full. You're like, oh, are you not feeling well? Like, why do you still have food on your plate? And they're like, oh, I'm just done. I can't even eat that. And you're like, I'll eat it. Like you're confused. You're like, wait, what's going on? Right? I used to do this when I went to restaurants and I would look at other people and I'm like, why are they not finishing it? Like, are they not feeling good? Like, I always finish my plate back when. So how can you embody this version of yourself right now? If you were binge free or if you were confident with your food choices, how would you show up? If you were confident with your food choices, you probably wouldn't be spending 10 hours deciding what to eat. You would just decide. And I know it kind of feels weird because it's like, wait, I'm not that version of myself now, but that's how you start to become that version of you. Okay, I want to be more decisive with my food choices, so I'm going to make decisions faster. I want to be somebody, like in the first training, I said, I want to be somebody that can go spontaneously to the bakery and just like pick something up and enjoy it. Like, I just want to be able to do that. So I started practicing that. I want to be the person that like eats without guilt. So I'm going to practice eating that food more often. It's so interesting because some people are like, Lorna, I want to eat without guilt. But if you're not allowing yourself to eat the food, how are you going to be able to eat it without guilt? You have to first allow yourself to eat it in order to not feel guilty, right? So for me, I was like, I want to be able to eat cookies and not have it be a big deal. So I'm not going to wait until I don't feel guilty to eat the cookie. I'm going to eat the cookie so that I can practice releasing guilt. Do you guys see the difference? I'm not going to wait to trust myself. I'm not going to wait until I trust myself. I'm going to practice trust by building it. People are like, I'm going to keep trigger foods out of the house because I don't trust myself. So I'm going to wait until I trust myself, and then I'll bring like trigger foods into the house. But I'm like, well, you're not going to trust yourself if you never have them in the house. You need to actually take action. Not hope, not wish, like you need to do. Right? So for me, I'm like, if I want to trust myself, then I can't keep using MyFitnessPal. If I want to be able to eat a cookie without guilt, well, I can't not buy cookies. Like I actually have to eat the cookies, right? You need to take action. You can't wish. Yeah, it is scary. It is scary, but also it is scary. But again, it's like, if we know the end version, it's like, it's so much easier to, if we know, okay, I know that I so badly want to stop my binge eating. I so badly want to have less guilt with food. It's like, you have to be willing to take those steps. You guys saw all the things that I've been through. Like I shared yesterday, like 2 hours. Today we're going on an hour. Like I shared so many things. And you guys heard me yesterday. I shit my pants a lot, AKA I was scared a lot. But I didn't say I'm scared. Oh, not going to do it. I said I'm scared, so let's fricking go. I didn't say, I'm scared, I'm not going to do it. I said, I'm scared, so let's freaking go. It didn't mean like, oh, it was just easy for me. No, I was terrified. Terrified. I was shaking in my boots. So scared. But I'm like, well, the only way through is to do it. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to get support. I'm not going to try to figure this out on my own. I'm going to get support. I'm going to do it. Right? Like action is a huge step. Just like I say, you guys, you can't think your way out of a binge. You need to get rid of your binge urges. You can't just think it would be nice to eat without guilt. Like you need actually to have tools to take action so that it can be a reality. Right? Action is huge. We can't wait until we don't have fear to take action. We'll be waiting for the rest of our lives. This was huge for me. I never waited until the fear was gone to take action. Whether it was deleting my fitness pal, whether it was reaching out to a coach, whether it was, no longer weighing myself. You guys saw I did cold turkey. I'm like, let's freaking go. Like I'm ready. Yeah. Who knew that actually doing the action of, for example, buying those so-called trigger foods is you actually trusting yourself, light bulb moment. But this, like, do you guys see? This is what I help you guys do. Like, I am here to shift your perspective. And this is like, if at the end of this, we still have a bit more, but at the end of this, if you choose to dive deeper with me, like you just have light bulb moment after light bulb moment perspective shifts, because when you're so in the midst of relationship with food issues and binge eating, we don't see. It's like we have one pair of glasses on and we just see the diet culture road that we've known for many, many, many years. And we don't realize that there's a whole other world over here. So I help you shift your perspective. And then when you have these light bulb moments, guess what? It doesn't feel as scary. It feels really scary when, again, you're trying to do this on your own, or it's like you're just viewing it from like one lens. But when you have like somebody else's perspective, it's like, oh, I didn't think of it like that. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Like I'm excited to try this. I'm actually looking forward to deleting my fitness pal. I'm looking forward to all these different things, right? Juliet just said, remembering they're in your kitchen and you didn't binge for days. It started happening to me and I'm so glad. Yeah, this is what happens, right? So what would you do if you knew you were going to stop binge eating? Like I said, for me, it's like there was a part of me that was like, I'm going to struggle with this for the rest of my life. That was when I was like trying things on my own. Obviously, when I started getting support and learning the tools, I'm like, I just had this confidence, this deep knowing that I was going to conquer binge eating. I'm going to do this. I see a way out. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I am going to stop my binge eating. Even though I was out of control with food and very impulsive, I was like, I am going to do this. And when you have this mindset of like, I am going to conquer binge eating, you don't beat yourself up as much. You have a binge and you're like, well, it's part of the process. I know I'm going to conquer, so I'm not going to beat myself up. At least I have tools to release the guilt. At least I have tools when I'm having a bad body image day. At least I have tools to become less impulsive with food. At least I have tools to start reprogramming my brain. When I analyze the clients that I work with and I look into their mindset, what the mindset is, it's like finding a win in every single situation. So even if it's like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I binge today, it's like, okay, but tomorrow's a new day. Or I'm frustrated, but you know what? I was able to eat something without guilt. Or you know what? I binged, but you know what? That binge was way less in duration. I was like way less impulsive. I had way more awareness and I was able to actually stop like much quicker. That's a win. Right? Like we can turn something that we feel like, oh, I'm such a failure into a win when you have the right mindset. So it's really thinking about like that version of you who is so excited to stop binge eating. How would she respond to her binges? How would she act? How would she behave? She would go to the restaurant and she would order whatever she wanted and she wouldn't beat herself up about it. I thought about that version of myself. And I was trying to embody that version of myself every single day, who was committed, who was ready to stop binge eating, who was binge free. And then I started taking action that was in alignment with who I wanted to be, not who I was in this moment. Because when you're binging and you're out of control, it's hard to stop when you're full. Like, you can't just be like, oh, just stop. It's like, well, that's nice. Like, I have to keep going, right? Bye, Amanda, right? A lot of the times when you tell yourself, like, I can't do that, like, I have no control. But for me, I'm like, no, I am going to start being that version of me who is binge free, who can stop when she's full, who can hear her hunger, who doesn't dismiss her hunger and push it off for another hour. That's not my higher self. I'm not going to just keep giving into my binge urges and promising myself that that's the last time. Like, I am going to actually be committed to using tools so that I don't give in, because there's nothing that I want more than to not give in and to stop my binge eating. So I'm going to start practicing all of these things. My higher self, like, she wouldn't just say, like, screw it, I'm just going to binge. She would go to the restaurant and she would order what she wants. She would go to the bakery. She would order a baked good. She would buy chocolate in the house because she wants to be the person that can have chocolate in the house and eat it without guilt. When I was the health girl and the fitness girl and all the things, like, I was so, like, I didn't want to be that person. I was like, I don't want to be so meticulous with my food. Like, I don't want to have to keep chocolate out of my house. Like, I don't want that. I want balance. I want freedom. I want peace with food. I'm like, yes, like, this feels so good. So I'm like, well, are the actions that I'm taking in alignment with that? If I say that I want to stop binge eating, am I actually taking action steps that are going to help me get there? For me, yes, I hired a coach, right? I deleted my fitness pal. I did all of these things. Like, I started introducing trigger foods. I was open to a new approach. Like, I was like, check mark, check mark, check mark. You're welcome, Dee, right? So this is so important. I want to be that person that has snacks in the house. I want to be that person where I can go grocery shopping and pick up what I want and just, like, forget about it. Like, buy some chocolate and, like, have it, allow myself to have it, but, like, not feel the need to, like, binge on it like crazy. If I want to build up trust within myself, like, I'm going to take the necessary steps so that I can be able to trust myself. This is so important. If I just kept restricting and binging and keeping foods out of my house and giving into my binge urges, I would still be binging. And I will say, as a side note, it is sometimes hard to have confidence that you will stop your binge eating if you don't know what to do. Because at the time, like, before 2019, when I was just throwing spaghetti at the wall, I didn't know what else to do than just give in to my binges or, like, try harder or, like, control my food even more. Like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know that I was actually making my binges worse. Like, I didn't know, right? So it's easy to have that mindset of, like, there's no way out, or, like, I'm the exception. No one else thinks about food as much as me. Nobody else eats in secret. Like, nobody else is like this. But then it's like, when I started actually learning what to do and I was surrounded by other people who got me, I was like, okay, I'm way more confident. I'm not just throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like, I actually have tools to implement. I have a step-by-step process. Like, that's really important. It's not just like, oh, let me try this and, like, hope it works. It's like, no, I know what to do. So all I need to do is do it. And I'm that person, right? It's like, if somebody tells me what to do, it's like, I'm going to go implement it. But it's really hard to be that person to go and implement if you don't know what to do, right? So that's something that's very important. Something else is, I talked about showing up for myself at the beginning, but I want to dive a little bit deeper. I showed up for myself on the good days, on the not so good days, and even more so when I was struggling. So you guys know, like, I was ready. I was committed to, healing my relationship with food. But what I mean by, like, going all in and healing my relationship with food is, like, I showed up every single day, not just on the good days where I'm like, feel so good. Like I haven't binged. Like I feel so good. It was like, even on the days where I really needed support and I was having a bad day, or maybe I just binged or whatever, that's when I showed up the most. That's when I plugged into support the most. That's when I plugged into the other ladies in the program the most. That's when I needed the boost of encouragement. I think for a lot of people, it's easy to show up when things are going good, right? It's like momentum, motivation, like it's easy to show up when things are good. But how about when things aren't going good? I was so glad that I had somebody to talk through things with, because I didn't have to, I mean, when you're struggling, it's so hard when you're by yourself. Your partner doesn't understand, your family doesn't understand. And sometimes it's like, oh, I so badly, just like one more time, I want to give in. Or like, oh, I'm having a bad body image day, right? But it's like in those moments, it's really easy to isolate yourself or to hide and be like, well, I'm having a shitty day. I'm having a bad body image day. Might as well binge. Like it's easy for it to snowball. But I'm like, wait, hold on. This is when I need to plug in to support the most. Thank God I have a coach. Thank God I have support. Thank God I have somebody who understands me, because there were times I would have triggering comments said to me. I'm sure all of you guys have had triggering comments said to you. And I'm like, I so badly want to binge right now. Like that hurt my feelings so much. But if I was doing things on my own, I would have binged, because I wouldn't have known how to navigate comments. I didn't know how to not binge when I was sad. I didn't know how to not binge when I was, stressed out. So that's actually when I leaned into support the most. I showed up when things were good, and I showed up when things weren't maybe the best. I showed up when things were good because I wanted to be celebrated. I wanted people to be like, go Lorna, like, yes, you didn't give in to your urge, or like, I celebrated myself. I was proud of myself. But I also showed up on the days where I had a hard day, or I just binged, or a bad body image day. I still showed up. I still asked my questions. I still showed up to the calls. Like I leaned into support, because I'm like, thank God I don't have to try to figure this out on my own. So most people will show up when it's good, when it's easy, because that's easy. I'm motivated. I'm feeling good. Like, woo, no binges. Like it's so easy to be in momentum and show up for yourself when things are good. When things aren't going well, it's really easy to hide because I'm so embarrassed. I was open. I was willing to be open. I was willing to share. I was so committed to ending this. I did not just throw in the towel when things got hard. I didn't just show up when it was easy. I was committed no matter what. And when I say I was committed no matter what, like I mean it. Not just on the good days, on the not so good days as well too. Okay. This is me. It's so true. The true work is when you are having not so good days. It's how you show up in those moments. It's how you show up in those moments that really matter. Okay. Just a few more things, you guys, and then we're going to wrap up. I think I have maybe 2 more things I want to share with you guys. So I'm going to bring up the fitness studio again, just because it's 2018. So you guys know I had my fitness studio and I was a workaholic. Any of you guys can resonate with this. Maybe you're not, but like for me, like I was a workaholic. I would wake up at 5 or 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I would get home like 9 o'clock. I was working on the weekends. Like I didn't go out with friends because number one, I was so busy, but also I was so self-conscious. I didn't want to go out for dinner. I didn't want to ruin my like what I was eating. I didn't want to eat more calories. I just wanted to stay home. And I felt like I was just going through the motions. Like wake up, work, eat, restrict yourself, come home, binge your face off, go to bed, and then feel bloated, and then wake up in the morning and then feel bloated, and then like feel inflamed, and then not really be sure if you should have breakfast because you're still kind of full from last night's binge, but you don't want to prevent you don't want another binge to happen. Like I felt like I was just repeating the same days over and over and over again. And I realized there was no fun in my life. You know what was fun? Food. You know what was fun? Binging. I couldn't tell you how excited I would be to like come home from work and binge. That was my fun. I would like plan my binges. I'm like, ooh, I'm at work and I'm like planning my binges for the evening. I'm like, that was like the fun. That was the highlight of my day. So I'd be planning my binges at work. I'm like, ooh, what am I going to have? I knew that I would be eating so much and I would just be planning a binge. And this made sense because I stopped going out with friends because I didn't, I felt self-conscious. I didn't really do date night. I wasn't really intimate. It was just work, 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 work. And then I come home and of course I'm going to look forward to the most exciting part of my day, which was binging. Right? And don't get me wrong, like I loved working. I don't know, maybe you guys can relate. Like even now, like I freaking love my work. I'm working right now. Does not feel like work. I'm having like the time of my life. Like this is so much fun. But you can't just be working all day. You can't just be isolated all day. Like you need fun. And I didn't understand how important this was because I'm like, I love my work. Like it's not taking away from me. Like it's just like the no-brainer thing. Like I would rather work than do a lot of things. I loved what I did. I didn't care how many hours I worked. Like I would work Monday to Friday, I would work Saturday and Sunday. Everyone's like, Lorna, you need a break. And I'm like, I'm fine. I didn't feel like I was like really missing out on anything. I'm like, I can just work all day. But this was a problem because there actually was no fun. So I started focusing on more fun in my life, more connection with people, friends. Andrew and I started doing date night weekly, right? I started putting myself out there, hanging out with friends. I took initiative. I would message my friends, hey, let's meet up. Hey, let's do this. Like, hey, let's do that. I would block it into my calendar. And that was hard because I'm like, oh, well, I actually have something for work, so maybe I can't. No, you're going to book something fun. You're going to book something fun. Even a comedy show. I went with this was when I was like, obviously healing, and I went to a comedy show with my family. Comedy shows, oh my God, they're the best. They make me laugh. They're just the best. Like they make me so happy. So I was like to my family, we're all going to go to a comedy show. And we went, and I swear to you, like the 2 hours that I spent watching this comedy show filled up my entire cup for like the rest of the year. We still have date night at 65. I love it. Yes, date night is the best. So it made me so happy. When you are happy and you have fun in your life and you're so fulfilled and you're loving your life, it's really hard to do self-sabotaging behaviors. A lot of the times people do self-sabotaging behaviors because, well, obviously if you have binge urges, then you're going to keep binging and you're impulsive, but also if you're not happy with an area of your life, then it's like, oh, like I wish I would have went to that social event, but I didn't. So now I'm anxious and I'm lonely and I'm just going to binge. Right? So I started prioritizing fun instead of seeing it, because I'm just going to be honest, like I used to see social events as like a burden. I'm like, oh, I got to go see this person. Oh, I got to go do this. Like it felt like it was like taking away from my life because I was like work, work, work. And then I was thinking about food all day and like my binges and all those things. You're welcome, Amy. Right? So I started seeing like hanging out with people and having fun as like adding into my life. It's enriching my life. It's adding more fun into my life. And if you're binging, you probably need more fun in your life. Right? So I started to have more fun in my life. And sometimes when you are struggling with, your relationship with food, yeah, I hate social interactions. I dread it. That used to be me as well too. But like ever since I started like adding in more fun and like putting myself out there and doing these social events, it's like my life became so much more enriched. It felt so pure. It felt so good. And we need fun in our life. We need fun in our life. Okay. And fun doesn't have to be going out with 30 people. Like it can be like, hey, I'm just gonna, it could even be like whatever it is for you. Like for me, it's like clubs and bars. Like that's not my thing, but like, let's go watch a comedy show. I'm like, I'm all about that. Right. So just finding like, obviously what's fun to you. Right. So how are we feeling? How are we doing? Any big takeaways? Please drop them in the chat. How are we doing? Let me know how you're feeling, maybe some emojis or whatever as we wrap up day 2. There's still a few things that I want to share with you guys in terms of like some things coming up, but how are we doing? Let me know in the comments some like emojis or something of how you're feeling. As a reminder, you guys, like this was day 1 and day 2. So this is a lot of obviously what I did to stop my binge eating. So this was, I feel like, pretty jam-packed. Day 3 and day 4 is the VIP. So again, you still have that option of how I maintained a binge-free life happening tomorrow. It's not in the Facebook group, so you have to join if you want to join. And then day 4 is you get to submit questions and you get to ask me your personal questions. Okay. Now the giveaway, I'm going to be choosing one person tonight. Again, $200 credit to use towards any of my programs. So I'm so excited about that. If you've not yet entered the giveaway, you can take a photo of me right now, tag me on your Instagram stories, or share any of my posts on Instagram to your stories and just tag me. And one person is winning $200 towards one of my programs. Okay. Now, yes, super excited to take action. And Rena, you are in Stop the Urge. So I'm so freaking excited as well too. And I think you upgraded to the VIP as well too. So you're just like on fire. Like you're really ready to take action. I love it. So for those of you guys who resonated with my journey, and maybe you're starting to realize like, okay, I reflected back and maybe I am trying to just manage my binge urges. Like I'm trying to just distract myself or stay busy or journal or go to bed early. But I don't want that. Like, I don't want to just manage my binge urges or fight against them to try to not give in. Like, I want to get rid of my binge urges. So I don't have to rely on willpower or motivation or like these quick fix tactics, right? You're like, I want a sustainable solution. Or maybe you're realizing, oh, everything that I have tried so far has been diet related. So I need more support and tools to stop my binge eating because maybe I haven't really done anything specific to reprogram my brain and get rid of these urges. So I'm going to share with you guys a few things in terms of how you can get support from me. Okay. So the first thing that's coming up is my program, Stop the Urge. So this program, hence the name, is designed to literally stop the urge to binge. This is not about distracting yourself. This is not about staying busy. This is not about managing your binge urges or closing your kitchen at 7 o'clock or relying on willpower to not give in. You are going to learn specific tools for when you feel the urge to binge that will help you to not give in, how to actually prevent those binge urges from arising in the first place. And you're going to learn the difference between cravings and binge urges so you know when to give in, when not to give in, how to eat your favorite foods in moderation. And the biggest part is the mindset piece. How to feel more powerful over your binge urges and what to do when you don't want to use the tools. Because I hear from some of you guys, you're like, Lorna, but even when I know the tools, like I have a hard time implementing. Well, this is why there's support. This is why there's accountability. Just imagine being part of a group and you're like, hey guys, I used the tools today and you didn't give in, and then everyone's celebrating you. And imagine you're like, oh, I so badly want to give in and I want to binge. And then you see somebody else who's like, oh, I used one of the tools and like, I'm so glad that I didn't binge because I woke up this morning, I feel light, I got my workout in and I feel so good. Like that. So if you are ready for a sustainable approach to get rid of your binge urges, this would truly be a next step for you. So this is a 3-week program. There's going to be 5 trainings with me. There's going to be Q&A opportunities as well too. There's going to be integration worksheets for those of you guys who are asking about like journal prompts and stuff. There's going to be integration worksheets, the private group, and all of that. We're starting September 21st. However, it is on early bird pricing for the next 2-ish days until September 15th. And you do save $164. So that program, Stop the Urge, is $333 USD, or 2 payments of $180. The full price will be $497 when we start on September 21st. Okay, so if you want to join now, you can lock in your price at early bird pricing. I'm so excited to like teach you how to actually sustainably get rid of your binge urges so you don't have to think your way out or like try to just not give in. This is going to be incredible. Okay, that's Stop the Urge. If you know, like somebody wrote here, like I definitely need support, I feel completely alone, like Kimberly, you are not alone, like I totally see you. If you are looking for more personalized support, you're like, everything resonates in this masterclass, but I know that I'm somebody who needs like more support. I know I need help like implementing things on a more personalized basis. I do have my 4-month Ditch Decade Diets Academy. So this is really for you in addition to learning the tools, you're looking for more personalized coaching. So we hop on like coaching calls twice per week. You get to ask your questions on like a more personalized basis. So really the difference is like Stop the Urge is going to teach you literally everything you need to get rid of your binge urges. To become less impulsive, this would be perfect if you know you're binging and you're feeling out of control with food, like this would be it. The way that I run the program is like this. So like I do these live trainings multiple times. You get to like plug into the group, all that jazz. For the academy, in addition to that, you get to hop on Zoom with me twice per week for more personalized coaching, okay? If you join the academy right now, Stop the Urge is also included, okay? So those are the options for you guys. I would love to support you. If this masterclass was all you needed, amazing. If you're like, I resonate with your story and like, I want support from you, like I'm ready to take action. We're going to see like, you know, who wants to take action. I'm here for you guys. Like I am so freaking ready. I'm so fired up. I'm so passionate about this because all of these things changed my life. And now I'm ready to help change yours as well too. So I'm going to send you guys an email with all the details. Please, if you have any questions or you want to chat through things of like, which one would be the best fit for me, like, please just message me. I can share in an instant, like this would be the best fit for you, or this one would be good for you. Just message me. Okay. So that's that. I'm super excited. Again, Stop the Urge price does increase on the 15th. So if you want to join that one, be sure to join before the 15th. Well, you can join after, but the price will go up. So again, I will send you an email with all the details, but thank you guys so much. Kimberly, feel free to message me. We can really, you know, we can talk through things or whatever about that. What is the price for the academy? So Rena, I know you're in Stop the Urge, so I'm actually going to message you. I'll message you, okay? Yeah. Because Stop the Urge is actually included in the academy, so I will message you. Yeah. Oh, so excited to support you guys. Like I'm so fired up. I'm so excited for the next few days as well too. Yeah, you're so welcome, Michaela. I'm so glad that this was helpful for you guys. Really beneficial. Yay, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And there's still more to come. There's still more to come. You're welcome, Lisa. So if you guys love this, then I'm excited to continue as well with you. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Please, please, please reach out if you have any questions about the programs or you want to know the next step. Like I am here for you, okay? I had the same question as Renee. Okay, Kim, just message me. Just message me, you guys, like after this, because I'm going to obviously get a bunch of messages. So just message me right away after this masterclass or whenever you feel like, and we'll chat, okay? So have the best freaking day ever. I will see you guys tomorrow for day 3 and day 4 for you guys who upgraded to the VIP, and have the best day ever. Bye, guys.